Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello, and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Hi, Didi. We're back from vacation.
We are back from vacation.
Black?
No, sorry, I'm back from vacation. I was thinking of the blue. The blue shades. It really makes you want to sing the blue da-ba-dee-da-ba-da song.
Yeah, you've done it before.
Not on this.
I think you did.
No. I was wearing the other sunglasses, not the blue ones.
Okay.
I sang on the road to the airport when you gave me the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yes. So, lesson number 1.
You're like jumping in. What's up? What's new in sports life? Or you have no sports life?
Oh, there's been a lot of sports updates. So, in case you don't know, England won in penalty kicks, which is like a known miracle. There's 2 big soccer matches right now, or football, like everybody else in the world calls them. There's the Copa America, which is geared towards letting Messi win one more shot, because it's Colombia versus Argentina, even though my buddies in Uruguay are very disappointed. And there's the Euro. And in Euro, it's England versus Spain, which England never wins penalty kicks, and this time they have, which is a little miracle. Also, the Bruins made massive signings of a big-ass defenseman and a good power forward, which we're all hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
And the Celtics have snubbed Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown, for some reason, was not invited to the Olympics or something like that.
I heard the Celtics is on sale.
Oh, yes. And this kind of gives me a point towards anybody that is living under a rock. Apparently, we're ruled by a puppet, because clearly his brain is not attached, as we saw in the debate. And the reason I'm saying this in the reference,
so crazy.
yes, and the fact
It
that
reminds me of my grandpa.
yes,
I can tell my grandpa's story. Like, after a few minor accidents, we had to take his car keys while he was kicking and screaming, of course, that he's fine and like it's somebody else's fault, even though he was the only one driving in the street. And, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Unfortunately, elderly people don't realize how bad it is.
yes, and
Things are bad.
Things are bad.
Oh, my God.
Yes, did you know that Trump is vice president? So
Did you know that Putin is
the president
of Ukraine?
Yes.
Oh, my God. It's like,
yes.
well, I would say we need to provoke the 25th, but I'm not sure that I want this to happen. So let's move on from politics.
The reason I'll tell you why this is related to the Celtics.
Yeah,
So
why?
even Felger and Maz that stay away from politics like the plague, Maz made a joke that Wick, the owner of the Celtics, is basically like Biden. He's there for show, but doesn't do anything for real. And when the daily sports show that avoids politics like the plague talks about it, it means that everybody needs to at least mention it in passing at some point in time, because this is like bad.
It's my grandpa accidents happening
Yes.
in front of us.
And what's the worst that can happen? This is the guy that also has...
What's the worst? The world is controlled by somebody that is half awake between 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that what they were saying? Like,
Yes.
you can just have
So-
meetings around that time?
So that reminds me of the Soviet Union jokes.
Yeah.
Yes. So President Brezhnev, that was also on the elderly side, they said, no, everything's okay with President Brezhnev. At 5 o'clock he pees, at 6 o'clock he poops, and at 7 o'clock he wakes up. And that seems to be President Biden for me. So,
Sweet.
yes.
We're back from
Vacation
10 days in
Ireland.
beautiful Ireland, and
Yes.
we wanted to dedicate this episode to everything we learned over there.
And how
get
it's
that
applied
t-shirt
and how it's applied to
our
life.
lives.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, we both have Guinness t-shirts.
Yes.
Like things number one that I want to share. Oh wow, we found out about the 0-0 trend, and if you haven't tried the 0-0 trend, please do. It's the alcohol-free kind of trend. It's all over Ireland. You can get any drink with sans alcohol, basically. They have champagnes, rosé, white wines, red wines, and then
Guinness.
a bunch of beers. And the kids loved it. They could have non-alcoholic Korean cider, which is so good.
Yep.
Our kids kept on drinking 0-0 Guinness. So yes, we have
Because
a
it's
bunch
basically root beer.
of pictures of the kids drinking like pint of
Pints.
of Guinness.
Yep.
And Didi didn't want me to put it on social media because people will think they're actually drinking a Guinness.
Yes.
So
People are stupid. Assume people are stupid.
yeah. So that's awesome because like I get easily tipsy and I'm not good with alcohol anymore. And like being able to enjoy a yummy drink without the putting off the edge of it is actually awesome.
Yep.
Plus, less calories. I mean, we don't need the extra calories. It's enough. So I'm all for it. Awesome trend. Let's bring it over. I think Heineken brought the 0-0 to the U.S. I don't think we have Guinness.
Yep.
Let's bring all those champagnes and wines. It's awesome. Again,
But we still discovered.
there is this athlete
Yeah.
beer, whatever. It was actually too hoppy for me, but I don't like hoppy beer. I don't like beer that much.
Yep.
Yeah, but we did try it in the Irish bar where
In
we
the
live,
Irish bar where we
across
live.
the street.
Across the street.
Okay, which brings to
No. Let's also mention that even though I'm wearing a Guinness shirt and you're wearing a Guinness shirt, Guinness still sucks. It's like drinking a loaf of bread. I still hate Guinness. I
But
tried
the
it.
Guinness bread is so yummy.
The Guinness bread is awesome.
Oh my God, it's so good in a bread.
Yes.
So
Which leads us to the next thing that we've learned about Ireland. So, Lital assumed, as we were going to Ireland, that food will suck. The reason that she thought food will suck is because she thought everything we're going to do is eat meat and cabbage and meat and cornbread
and
basically-
shepherd's pie,
And shepherd's pie.
which is fine.
Which is
but
fine occasionally,
like,
but
yeah.
and this is where you need to learn never to trust your basic assumptions. Very much like pizza is not a thing in Italy.
I mean,
it's
when
not.
it is, it's good.
Yeah, but it's still not a thing. Italian food is not what when you eat in Italy. It's not Italian. What we call Italian food here. Very much like this Irish food here
Like
is.
Chinese food.
I'm not talking about eating bats. The thing that is super interesting is that the Irish food it's an island, and what do you expect to eat on an island?
They have amazing shellfish,
They have amazing seafood.
amazing seafood.
Amazing seafood. Really, really good seafood. And as you mentioned, the Guinness bread was awesome. The fish and chips, unlike British fish and chips that suck and is very like greasy, this is like done in very, very good taste, and the fish are very fresh.
Their lobster is
Lobster.
half the price of our main lobster.
Yes, and is just as good because it's on the same parallel.
Basically the same ocean.
Basically, it's the same. It's basically the same lobster.
Yeah. So still cheaper than the US, even though the Irish complain about prices of everything, which relatively high. Like we've been to
they're-
Spain, to
Portugal.
Portugal last year was much cheaper. So yeah,
Yes.
they're an island and it's a problem.
But what we've
Prices
learned
are
here
high.
is always challenge your assumptions, because we assumed a couple of things about Ireland, and all these assumptions were wrong. Assumption number one was that we're going to eat meat and potatoes, and that was not the case. And even the meat itself was very, very interesting and very, very good.
Lamb is amazing.
Yeah, lamb, but like you like to say. And
It's-
the schnitzels. They had awesome schnitzels.
Lamb was amazing.
Yes.
locally grown. You can see them everywhere.
Yes. So when you see the food growing and raised, you know that it's going to be fresh and good. So we assumed the food was not going to be something. We also assumed that we're going to hear a lot of Irish music. Producer Dave, would you care to know what is the most common music sound that we heard in Ireland?
The Dropkick Murphys.
Country.
That's what we thought.
We thought we were going to hear Water Boys
Country?
Country.
Country. They
Johnny
love
Cash. Johnny
country.
Cash. They love Johnny Cash.
That's insane.
All the live shows over there. Country.
Yes, I think I heard a million renditions of A Boy Named Sue. So
They do play some Irish songs. It's the same 3 or 4
yes,
that we heard
it's
everywhere.
Yes, it's Whiskey in the Jar, Star of the County Dawn, and a couple of others. They do this for the tourists, but primarily they play country.
We even been to a wedding and they played country in the
Yes.
wedding. It was so weird.
Yes.
Apparently they love country.
They love 90s country. I heard all the Heads Carolina, Tails California, and all that stuff. It was awesome. It was awesome. 90s country. So yes.
Yeah, that's your song.
Yes. For those that don't know, my mom called me Jedediah. And when I complained, she said, listen to A Boy Named Sue.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. So we assumed that we're going to hear... I did... Until basically the last day in the airport that I heard the Water Boys, I didn't hear Pogues, Water Boys, Cranberries, none of this. All of this was country and such. So it was very, very funny. We assumed food was bad. We assumed about the things. We assumed about the politics, and we haven't seen anything on the politics side.
We thought that they would be very anti-Israel because that's what the news in Israel say.
And the news
Nobody
here says
cared.
nobody cared.
I mean, let's be honest. We were on the western side, and we spent all the time on the western coast. We haven't been to Dublin, so I don't know what's the status over there. But
But who cares?
where we've been, we haven't felt anything. If anything, either huge fan of the United States or they hate the United States. Like
Yes.
that's where they are like very polarized.
Yes.
And that was it.
Yeah, and there was very, and in general, they more care about the EU things that are happening, and the prices, and the gas prices and things like that than anything else. So, it was very interesting to see the fact that a lot of our assumptions, with regards to things that we thought, were wrong. So, lesson number 1 about vacations, always, and not just vacation, in life in general. Always challenge your assumptions and be able to change things fast when your assumptions are not met.
Just come and explore. Like you cannot have assumptions of a place you haven't been to.
Yes.
I mean,
It's not just a place. It's also a business. We see this a lot of times in our line of business, that you make an assumption that you're building the best thing since sliced bread,
yeah.
and you don't challenge your assumptions. You don't validate. You work in an echo chamber.
That's basically the McKinsey model.
Yes, the echo chamber.
Yeah, you have a model and you go and reply it everywhere and you sell it for so much money.
Yes.
No skin in the game, no actually being in business, knowing if it works or not. You cannot make an assumption about a place, about people, about a culture, about
Yep.
anything
Yep.
before experiencing it firsthand. So, like, I don't want to talk with anyone about any place foreign if they haven't been to the place. It's
Yep.
bullshit.
Exactly. The other thing that we've learned that is also important is be willing to adapt quickly. And
Weather.
Forget-
Weather is a
be-
big deal.
Before we start about
I
the
want to
weather-
start with the weather.
Okay, start
Weather
with the
is a
weather.
thing
Weather
in
is a thing-
Ireland.
is a thing in
Oh
Ireland.
my! That's another thing we didn't expect. So, like, you look at the weather and you say, "Yeah, it's still summer, right? So we should pack some short sleeve and shorts." And
Ron packed wife beaters.
yeah,
No.
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 Oh wow, the place is cold.
Yes. Cold and wet and wet and
it's-
cold.
Yeah, exactly. It's raining every day, never the whole day. So it's, as Sarah said, the newlywed that invited us to a hometown.
The kingdom of Kerry.
Yeah. So she promised it's gonna be raining every day, but also the sun will come out every day.
Yep.
And you don't realize how many times this happens
Yep.
in an hour.
Yep.
It rains and shines and rains and shines again and again and again. That's
But-
the weather there.
But the sunsets were amazing.
There were no sunsets.
Yeah. The sun doesn't set. Yes.
Yeah, it's very northern, so we didn't expect that, I guess. We only realized later that we are at the kind of the same latitude as the northern part of Quebec.
Yep.
So it was like 11 p.m. at night, and we were still, it's completely sun out there. It was very confusing.
Yep.
So the sunset is around like 11 something. It was, and then probably around, I don't know, we were so tired by then, but I guess the minute you wake up, 5 a.m. in the morning, it's full sun on.
Well, full sun is full Irish sun, which means
Like a cloud. Clouds.
cloudy and twilight.
Yeah. So if you're going there, the most important thing is waterproof clothing. So all
Yep.
your outer layers are extremely important. That's our recommendation.
But when you think waterproof, don't think basically like wearing a nylon thing on top of you that makes you feel soggy. You need to think of the Gore-Tex. So the thing that worked really well for me and the boys was basically ski-ready second skins. Ski-ready second skins usually have something called DWR on them, which is a water repellent. And you'll see
Basically, those
forever clothes,
materials.
and you'll see that.
PFAs. or
But
whatever
it
it's
breathes.
called.
It's like a puffer that breathes, and you'll see that the water beads on it, but it feels more like a shirt. So DWR, look for the letters DWR on stuff. Eddie Bauer is really good at this. Mammoth is very
Let's
good
stay
at it.
outside because otherwise,
Otherwise,
if you're waiting for sunny days, you will not enjoy the place.
Which now brings me to the learn to enjoy, and joy is a choice. You need to have fun as a choice. So right before we started biking, I spent the whole night throwing up, like seriously throwing up, and I had 50K of biking ahead of me. And even on the bike, I stopped to throw up a couple of times. Had fun. Exactly. It was a little bit like Witches of Eastwick level event for those that know what I'm talking about.
There was also a pretty steep climb.
There was a
that
pretty
day.
steep climb, and that
We cycled, how it's called,
that was a different day. Gap of Dunlow was.
it wasn't the Gap of Dunlow.
No. The Gap of Dunlow was another thing. And again,
That was from when we went down to
from Killarney to Kenmare. So that was another day. But I'm talking about the first day. The first day on Monday when we went from Gilbay to Killarney, that was relatively pancakey, but still a harsh thing. And the other thing fun is a choice. And I enjoyed myself a lot. I was coughing. I was throwing up. I even got wearing worm. Still, fun is a choice. You can whine or you can have fun. And I think we ended up choosing to have fun.
We also push our kids to
Oh.
get this. And it's funny that they all came and said they loved it. They enjoyed it
Exactly. But you need to,
while suffering.
while suffering, you need to choose to have fun. And this is an important thing. Whenever you think of doom and gloom, you never have fun. Don't be doomy and gloomy. Choose to have fun.
In general, I think a lot of feeling are made of choice.
Yes.
Getting insulted in life is
A choice.
I mean, you can decide that somebody is insulting you, or you can say, oh, whatever, they're saying so. So in general, I would say your emotions are up to you.
Yep.
You can
feelings.
regulate them, your feelings, it's a decision.
Yes.
Yes, sometimes like you have the first reaction of like, that sucks, but it's a narrative you're telling yourself.
Exactly.
So we can always change the narrative, and we should.
Yep. Yep. And you continued biking even though you had a nice little bicycle crash.
Yeah, I was sick too.
Yeah.
I had fever throughout the entire vacation. Took my Advil and went on the bike. There was a day that it was very heavily raining, and we had this steep way downhill, and it was both muddy and gravel, and then a car came.
And horse shit.
A lot of horse shit, and then a car came, and she came pretty fast, and I had to
Swerve.
swivel the bike a little bit to the left, and because of the terrain changing from gravel to mud, I just crashed and had I felt fine, but had a massive scraper in both my knee and my elbow. That was fun. I think our guide was more shaken than I was, just seeing the blood flowing. It like everything when it rains and stuff, it looks so much worse.
I think
She was great.
Yes, our guide was great. But when you're talking about that in terms of determination, this was the best part. I think my most masculine happening of my time as a parent, nothing makes you prouder and more accomplished than when you're a fat old 50-year-old man and you destroy two 16-year-old athletes. So the kids on the first day said, yeah, it's boring. Let's get off e-bikes. The Omri was on an e-bike.
We gave Omri and Leah e-bike to kind of
And Omri said, this is boring.
And I was on regular bike the first day, and the guide recommended for second day because of a very steep climb to make myself more comfortable and move to e-bike to push myself. And it was nice.
Yeah.
Actually, if you want to have a cycling vacation and you want it to be a leisure and, not just suffer through it, take an e-bike. It's a good push when you really need it. You're suffering less, which is
suffer.
good. So
I didn't suffer.
So the kids wanted to go off
the
e-bikes.
So I took an e-bike for myself.
Because you were sick.
Because I was sick.
You should.
Yes. But about 50 meters into the climb, Omri started basically crying that he can't do it anymore. And we were calling Ron the Russian machine because he did if you remember in the Drago movies, they said the Russian machine never breaks. And he basically doesn't stop. Ron doesn't stop. Apparently he did stop. So when we did the Gap of Dunlow, Omri asked for my e-bike 10 minutes into the climb.
It's, what's the
persistence
ascent over there? It was 750 meters. Ascent.
It was eventually over 2,000 feet. It was over 2,000 feet of climb. And
very relatively short. It's less than
an hour.
Yeah.
But this is called sucking it up. And so Omri cave first and said, yeah, you know what, rotate with Ron and you guys can deal with this. And we had to carry Ron up the hill. Me, on my regular bike, while throwing up and smelling horseshit. I had to carry my 16-year-old massive machine of a son. And eventually he quit. He completely quit.
He quit 10 meters before the top.
He quit. He couldn't do it anymore. And his brother gave his e-bike to him. And I made the end of the climb. And producer Dave, this is where the music... So I put 80s motivational soundtrack. What is the best song to top a mountain in your mind? 80s motivational songs.
Is it something from the Rocky franchise?
I would do the Rocky franchise for
there
sure.
There was a lot of Rocky franchise.
Yep.
But St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh,
Be a man in motion. All I need is a pair of wheels. You can break the boy in me, but you can't break the man. I can climb the highest mountain, cross the broadest sea. I feel St. Elmo's fire burning in me. Dude, I'm telling you, nothing is more motivational than 80s motivational music as you crush your sons.
It's been a week, and he's been telling himself this story of the bravery of going through the Gap of Dunlow.
The fact is,
this song actually has a funny story because the guy wrote it for St. Elmo's Fire
Yep.
about the mythical thing that is St. Elmo's Fire, but also he really wanted to write a song about this guy who had gone basically around the world in a wheelchair.
Yep. Okay.
And so that's why it's called Man in Motion. So that's you essentially carrying your son up the hill was trying to go around the world in a wheelchair, same kind of deal.
Yep.
It's funny because Ron had so much power still in him,
Yes.
but like not realizing it's kids don't realize it's willpower basically. You have so much you can see. He feels exhausted. Of course, it's disgusting, and we can post the videos of him complaining at the end of it. But the realization that you can go with the suckiness of it and
Yes.
keep on pushing,
Yes.
and him just giving up for it. It was interesting.
Yeah, we had two big climbs. One was on that day, and the other one was on the final day. And both of them, you could see that there's a big difference between those of us that survived military service and understand that you don't stop because you were told not to stop, and the people that haven't. So I'm not saying recommending military service for everybody, but I can tell you that it's very, very educating, the fact that you understand that there is another gear. There always is another gear, and it relates to everything in life. It's not just the... Yes, exactly. You can make it.
Like an eagle flying higher and higher.
Yes. But there are no eagles. But we have discovered that they're only now reintroducing eagles to Ireland. Because
we went to Falconry,
we went to Falconry.
which we never done before.
Yes.
And we didn't even know it's a thing.
Yes.
That was amazing.
It was amazing. And the kids complained all the way to it and then enjoyed it immensely. Enjoyed it immensely.
So for those that don't know what it is,
By the way, there was 0 falcons. There was a hawk and 3 owls. 0
yeah,
falcons.
No falcons.
No falcons. But there were...
Such beautiful animals.
Yes. Very regal.
Beautiful.
And yes, we got confirmation that a red hawk will eat Simba in 3 seconds flat.
It was the owls are so beautiful.
The owls are amazing. It's a very fun experience. And that gives the sense of you have to try. Even something you have to try.
Yeah, the kids were like, why are we going to do it?
Yes.
We don't care about birds.
Try at least experience something that you haven't, even if it sucks. The only thing I would say, don't try Icelandic shark. Eating fermented shark, I can tell you, tastes like piss. So unless you really like the taste of piss, just trust me on that one and skip it.
I guess some people like it. What else did you learn? That's a theme of the day.
That's our theme of the day. What else I learned? I learned that I can't trust you on planning for driving. So we are driving to JFK.
Yeah,
decision.
if you
Bad
heard,
decision.
we already had full episode. Go check it out about tips for flying.
And always fly first flight out of here has to be international.
Yeah, so following our guidelines of not, when we go international, not taking the first leg basically in the US, domestic, because domestic flights have a tendency of being delayed or never happened, and then you're going to miss
And
your
forgetting your
international.
stuff.
And international flights tend to go on time.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're going to miss it. So with that, the decision was, and maybe it was a wrong decision, to drive to JFK and go from JFK to Shannon, which was close to where the wedding was, instead of doubling, which we
It's 4
could
hours
fly
away.
from Boston directly. So now knowing the experience with the Sumner Tunnel, maybe driving to JFK wasn't a bad idea.
It was a bad idea.
Every-
Terrible. Every drive to an airport in the summer is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've discovered
Yeah.
that.
We're not going to do it
We're
again.
never going to do that again.
In general, JFK is a big no-no.
But as I sit there suffering through traffic, I said to Lital, on what side of the street do they drive in Ireland? Because she got us a rental car. And apparently
We're on the way to the airport. Already got us
A rental car.
A rental car to get to
I
the
should
wedding.
And I should have known. There are, listen to the predictors. Always listen to the predictors. Apparently you can't get driver's insurance in Ireland. So when you go to a rental, you can't get the driver's insurance there. And I should have known that there's probably a reason for that. And the place that I've seen
Also,
this before.
the rental is pretty expensive.
Insanely expensive. And that's because they drive on the other side of the street. So,
Yeah, so quickly
Fast-
Googled, we're driving, and Didi's like,
I'm not driving.
I'm not driving.
So-
I already drove from Boston to JFK, then we're taking a red eye, then I need to drive on the wrong side of the of the street.
Yes. Which is the right side.
Yeah. So I called a taxi service and canceled our rental, and that was the best decision
Ever.
Oh my God, those Irish people, they drive amazingly.
Yes.
The best driver in the world.
Yes.
This
And
is unfreaking believable.
the street, so their highway is narrower than our street.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And the weather, as we said,
Is wet and gray. And everybody drives stick. And
everybody drives stick.
and they drove so well.
It's amazing.
Yes. It was very impressive. And what we've learned is that first, consider outsourcing services that you can't do very, very well.
Oh, that's always our way of doing life.
always
Outsourcing is the way we go.
But we proved ourselves again that we should have thought of outsourcing from day one.
It was also so nice because you're with a driver that talks about, everything.
Everything.
You get to know people. It's a nice thing to do a 2.5 hours drive with a driver and not to get stressed
And it
about
turned out to be
driving.
cheaper than renting.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't think it got cheaper, but in the grand scheme of things, no, it wasn't cheaper.
Cheaper.
But no.
Yes.
No, I beg to differ, but yeah, it would have been not easy, especially that you are not the non-stressed person.
I can be the non-stressed or the stressed.
You are extremely stressed while driving in unknown places.
And those roads are not GPS friendly. The GPS there is useless. You can take the GPS and stick it up somebody's.
Well, there is not much reception over there.
There's not
anyhow.
reception. And thanks to the drivers, we went to do things like Connor's Pass that we would have never done on our own.
Yeah, the drivers actually, it was like a guided tour. You get a taxi drive plus
A guided tour.
The guy just stops on the way to show you stuff. Super cool.
Yes, yes. The other thing that we've learned is Western culture needs to learn a little bit of humility. So there's a whole bunch of stuff with the Neolithical ruins there. And you look at it and you say, yeah, timeline. Jerusalem was a whole city back then. In Babylon, they had an empire back then. So when you look at some of those ruins, in the Middle East at that time, there were existing functioning empires, and people there were just moving boulders.
Yeah.
So it gives you a very interesting history and the depth of the difference between countries like India and Mesopotamia and the Middle East.
Versus where Western Europe was at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they still believe in the fairy folk, which is good. So that was a very fun thing to learn about the fairy circles and things like that. So it was a fun experience, but it was also, this is where you need to learn, smile, shut up, and not embarrass the guides and the locals and tell them, hey, our ancestors built empires. Well, you guys were still in blue. So,
If you live in a place that your summer is very hot and you need a refresher,
oh yes,
take a vacation in Ireland.
Even
It's an awesome place to get refreshed. For those of you in Tel Aviv, this is an awesome place to take a vacation.
for those of you in the
and
Carolinas
chill.
or Miami,
Yep. It's a short trip. The flight is the same as a flight to the West Coast.
Yep. And it's cheaper and nicer than the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, anything else that we've learned from our vacation that can be applied to life in general?
Plan your next vacation when you're there.
Oh, always plan your next vacation. Are we going back to Ireland?
I don't know at the moment. The list is so long and time is so short that it will be a while. I loved it, but the list is there's so many places to go.
Yeah.
So I need to see other places as well. So I don't know. It's a small country, relatively small.
Yes. And Omri said that he likes the population density, which is very funny because it's a lot more dense than Maine. So Maine is significantly less dense. New Hampshire is less dense. Interesting.
It's so not dense. It was so nice.
Yes. Yes. Cool. Any other thoughts? Anything
No.
that we learned that's related to security?
I don't know. I didn't think about it during the vacation. That was nice.
Yes.
Put it aside.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have another episode coming up.
Oh,
with
yes.
Some other stuff. So maybe we'll end it here.
Yep.
Part of our summer series of
Yep.
fun stuff to do in summer.
Yes.
This was our trip and what we learned from.
The eagles are flying higher and higher, and I'm a man in motion. And I crushed the boys. This is where we end.
Look for the videos. We'll
Yes.
post them on LinkedIn.
And we learned that the Russian machine did break, but the German one didn't.
Well, with that, let's have the outro. Thank
Yes.
you. Well, the Didi and Lital show is a weekly podcast. If you like us, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be on the show, reach out to Didi or myself on LinkedIn. Until the next time,
I'm in motion.
bye-bye. See you.
Underneath the blazing sky, I'll be where the eagles fly.